Welcome back to Starcaster Remarks, along with Chris to my right, James to my left. My name is Ryan Chambers. This is the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Go and use that promo code THPN the next time you go and use DraftKings Sportsbook. And also for this month, Raycon has come back as a sponsor for THPN. So thank you to both entities, companies for sponsoring us. Tonight, we have a lot of things to talk about. But first off, personals. Let's get personal stuff aside. How are y'all doing tonight, gentlemen? How was your week?
I'm great. It's late. I resent you for saying how was your week because the week is still continuing.
Okay, I'm talking about like Wednesday to Wednesday because people don't see us during the week, right?
Still resent you.
Oh my goodness.
My brain thought it was Friday for a second. I got excited. That's rude.
If only. If only. So, I'm exhausted. I am absolutely exhausted. So I got up at 7 o'clock this morning, and I sat through a bunch of professional development today, which is not all that fun. School starts on Monday. And then, I literally left straight from professional development and went straight to middle school band rehearsal. And we rehearsed from 4 to 6:30. Well, I guess it was more 4:15 to 6:30. One of my students is in the chat. I don't know who it is, and then we had an absolute giant water balloon fight, which was ridiculous. I think we had, I think it was 700 water balloons that we filled up. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. It was a lot of fun, but I came home and I smelled like sewer water. So I felt like I had to take like 2 showers in order to get all the nastiness off my body.
You smelled no different than normal then.
Oh, you're so funny.
Bazinga.
So funny. Bazinga. Do we need to talk about the obvious thing that's going on with you, James?
Maybe.
For all the people that didn't know, all you audio listeners who don't get on YouTube, James has been a scruffy-haired little hooligan wandering around this green earth with his scruffy little unkempt beard and mustache. And here he shows up today, unannounced, unprepared, clean-shaven, even more than me. And y'all know how much beard hair I have. So, rude of him to hop on with no warning. I was utterly befuddled when I saw.
Chris was so shocked. It was hilarious.
I didn't say anything because I wanted to see Chris's reaction, and it was gold.
It was awesome. He just went for like 3 minutes.
Oh, but I'll be honest, it looks completely weird. Like it looks totally weird on YouTube.
And you know what,
I got
James?
so used to your beard.
You know what, James? Mm-hmm. You're a handsome lad.
Oh, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, you're a handsome lad to the chat. All around.
Yes, you're very hot, James. It's no wonder that Samantha loves you.
Yeah. Other than the obvious shaving the beard, I also did blood testing for the first day today too, like ever.
Blood testing.
So I had blood drawn for blood tests.
So James has
I've never done it before,
now, so he's now weaker. And if you wanted to attack him, now's the time.
I'm quite tired today.
Yeah. Well, so what did you do the blood test for? Just
health reasons. That's a HIPAA violation right there, Ryan.
Oh, give me a break. We're on the internet.
All right, Dallas Stars hockey. The Stars played so many games this week, and so much stuff happened, and we've got a lot to talk about.
So much.
Don't we, Ryan?
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, so it was perfect timing. My newest blog post dropped on the Sarcastic Remarks website. And then I think the very next day, or I might have been that same day, actually, come to find out that Dane Lewis of Locked On Stars, who I listen to all of his stuff, he's been an excellent person, member of the media who has covered this team for about 2 years. He announced that he's going to be stepping away because I think he is now a videographer for Conference USA. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty neat job to be able to go out and do. And he didn't feel like he had the time to devote that and do his job properly. So it sucks to see him go. I've already been in contact with him just to try to get him on the show sometime. I don't know when we're gonna get him on the show. Maybe sometime during the season, just to give him a little bit of a break, get him away from Stars for a little while. But again, it really sucks. And apparently this had been a thing for like 2 or 3 weeks that he had been planning to step away from Locked On Stars, but it's really bad timing. First Saad, then him, and it's just like, dude, what the heck?
We're dropping like flies. Go starcasticremarks.com.
Yep. Yeah, next is going to be one of us.
We're going to go.
No,
we're gone.
I'm just kidding. We're not going anywhere. We have no plans. No plans going anywhere. Okay, but we are going to start ramping up the content on starcasticremarks.com. I just, again, like I said, just did a first blog post in several months now, but that's going to be coming more regularly, and it's going to skyrocket once the season starts as well.
Especially when the season starts up.
Yep. And Chris and I both have some ideas. James has some ideas too, but I think he wants us to probably write about it instead, which is okay. I know he's got some good ideas. I know
we need idea guys over here.
Yes, exactly.
Y'all too. Pitch us ideas.
Yeah, that's why he's producer James.
We'll give you nothing.
Producer James. So, okay. Anyways, let's get into some of the things tonight. A lot of the stuff that we have to talk about is just short little snippet things, obviously, because there's not much going on. But we are going to get into our top 5 stars of all time. And I left it very broad for a reason. I'm not talking about like the greatest players to ever wear a Dallas Stars jersey or the greatest Dallas Stars ever, right? Because those are 2 different conversations, right? And we'll discuss that a little bit too. But like, who are our 5 favorite Dallas Stars players of all time? And I thought it would be really interesting because, you know, James is, I don't want to say he's a new fan. He's not. He's watched the Stars for many years, but he hasn't been a diehard until the last 2 years. Chris has been more of a diehard a little bit longer. And then since I was a ridiculous nut from the age of like 4 watching hockey, my lists are going to be very different than the 2 of theirs. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see where we go with that conversation. But first off on the bucket, I want to talk about Radko Gudas and this thing that came out in the media. And for those of you who don't know who Radko Gudas is, really big, ginormous defenseman, very physical guy. He's 33 years old. He's like 6'3", 6'4". He's huge. He was with Florida in the the Stanley Cup final run, and he signed a contract with the Anaheim Ducks recently, which was kind of strange considering he goes from a Stanley Cup contending team to probably not going to make the playoffs for the next 3 or 4 years. So the question was kind of asked of him was like, okay, well, why did you go to Anaheim instead of some other teams? Like, you know, I don't know, some more Stanley Cup contending teams. And one of the things he said is he saw how much pressure there was on the players in Toronto when he was playing them as a member of the Florida Panthers. So I thought it was interesting and that we should bring this up. Like, it seems like a good majority of players don't want to play in Canada. And it's because of the craziness of the media up there, the amount of attention these guys get. And it's very different for hockey players and their personalities compared to like some other sports. Like, for example, basketball. There are some very outgoing, strong personalities. And hockey players, I feel like, are more kind of like me, more reserved, laid back, don't want to really be in the spotlight all that much. I thought it'd be interesting to just kind of bring it up and get y'all's thoughts on all of that. What do you think?
Yeah, well, first of all, if you ask someone if they'd rather live in California or Canada, just face value, everyone's picking California. Canada sucks.
Well,
their money is worth less, their taxes are higher, and you have to be
even in California. It's lower. California has lower taxes than Canada even. So
yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, you get more money and you get nicer weather. Yeah, all day I'm going to California. Other than that,
pretty sure cap wise though,
yeah, go for it.
They do actually even out with the taxes and stuff. So they end up paying more even though their cap hit would be the same. It evens out. It does.
I don't know about all that. Players get paid less when they get more taxed.
James is the stat person. He's the numbers person. I would trust him over you, Chris.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him.
Yeah, he shaved his
can throw me
beard
pretty
off. He
far.
looks 16 again.
Yeah, I can throw him pretty far.
Well, I don't think that's totally true though, Chris, that a lot of people would choose California over Canada. And because a majority of players in the NHL are what? They're Canadian. Like there's more Canadian players in the NHL than the United States. So for some people, it's going home. That it seems logical for us to say,
Okay.
"Oh, well, yeah, of course
He's
he
not
would
going
choose
home for
California."
Radko Gudas.
Yeah, but I don't even know what is he? Is he from? He's from Europe. I know that. I just don't know where. Do y'all know where he's from?
No.
I have no idea.
Someone
Someone look that
he's
up.
a big scary bear of a man that screams at goalies after he scores on them.
Yeah. I saw that picture and like Toronto media just lit up. They were so mad. I remember Steve Dangle. Steve Dangle said something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the most amazing
every single
pictures ever.
goaltender you scored on. Right. I mean, I think yelling after you score on a goaltender right in his face is hilarious.
That's great. I love it.
If a goaltender genuinely gets upset at that, but if a goaltender gets upset at that, then he should try to play better, not just be upset at the player. Yeah, don't let the goal in, and he won't scream in your face.
Okay, but it wasn't. It's not like the
goaltender feel bad to get scored on.
That's like a pitcher beating the next player after a guy hits a nuke off of him. Like, okay, you're mad because you suck at pitching? Weird.
Okay, but it's not like it was Samsonov or even Matt Murray. It was their third string goalie.
So,
it was Joseph Woll.
So he
Even
sucks.
more so, get in his head.
He's trash.
He's trash. He just sucks. Well,
Other than that,
yeah,
the culture is crazy too. I mean, y'all have seen the Toronto culture. They finally won their first playoff series in forever, and you would have thought they got last in the league. And that's just
want Florida.
Yeah, it's just insane what their media does to their players and how much rigmarole they put them through. So
Okay, so here's an interesting thought. Who is worse, the Cowboys media down here or the hockey media up there in any of the big markets like Montreal or Toronto?
Honestly, I think Toronto is almost twice as bad as the Cowboys.
I don't think it's twice as bad, but I agree with you that it's worse. I think it is worse.
Berate. Even when they do good, it's like, oh, but they could have done this better. When a Cowboys player does good, boy, everybody in the nation hears about it. Everybody knows how great this player is.
We're gonna win the Super Bowl every year.
The highs are super high with the Cowboys. Even when there's lows, they're not super low. With Toronto, the highs are low. The lows are everyone is fired.
Okay, but let's be honest here, okay? Both fan bases, the Cowboys and the Maple Leafs, has been through a lot, okay? There's a curse on that team. I didn't believe it at first until Montreal beat them in 2020. And then I was like, okay, there's a legit curse here, okay? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Not good enough. I think their core players are just not as mentally tough as everyone thinks they are.
Well, let's not get into the Toronto debate. We don't need that. There's enough of that on the internet. But the fan bases are also very different, though, because the Cowboys have a bunch of fair weather fans, a whole ton of them.
Okay, that's
Toronto.
True. I'm one of those.
Majority of the Toronto fans are diehards.
There's nothing else to watch in Toronto
Cowboys
besides maybe baseball.
Not just watch. There's nothing else to do. You're in Toronto.
Especially when it's winter.
So,
well, but I mean,
I think that's why it's worse, and and that's slightly true in all of the Canadian markets. I just think for some reason their culture with their favorite sport is not a healthy one.
Yeah, it's toxic.
It's toxic for sure.
I don't think it's as bad in like okay, obviously like excuse me.
I think like Calgary is better.
Calgary's not bad. Winnipeg, I'd
like
maybe
Edmonton,
put Vancouver.
Toronto, Vancouver's bad. The only reason we don't see it is because they've sucked for so long.
They just expect to suck now.
They're just perfectly mediocre and they never make the playoffs. But I mean, you would admit that like Toronto, Montreal, and Edmonton are way worse than those other ones, right? Would you agree with that?
I mean, I put Vancouver up there normally, but just Montreal and Vancouver have been so bad. Like, there's not much to critique whenever they're terrible.
Well, And then there's the whole thing of a Canadian team has not won the Stanley Cup in 30 years. So basically, I view myself as a curse because ever since I was born, no Canadian team has ever won the Stanley Cup. Like literally, they won it.
That's a blessing.
They literally won it in June of 1993, and then I was born in July of 1993, and then ever since then, no cup for Canada. So
they can have their free health care. We'll keep our cups.
Agreed. Okay, let's move on. What else we got? I forgot what I was gonna do. Oh yeah. I thought this was interesting. This is not gonna take much time either, but there was a really interesting tweet earlier that David Castillo found, and it was this chart, and it's a advanced analytic. It's botched retrievals and failed exits per 60 minutes. All right.
Very specific.
Cool.
So it's basically like
advanced
can't get the puck out of your zone. can't get the puck out of your zone. And yeah, okay. So there is a Stars defenseman that makes an appearance on this list, and I believe he is in the top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's number 9 on this
Good
list.
or bad?
Bad. This is very bad.
Bad.
Yeah,
on
so
this list.
so the 9th worst defenseman in the NHL. Who do you think it
for
is?
botched retrievals and failed
specific,
exits.
Yeah, in this specific category.
Yes. Have y'all? First off, have y'all seen it?
I'm guessing I've seen your text.
Yes, I have. And we do have an outline of what the show is going to look like.
Yeah, so
it's Yanni Hakanpää, but I feel like we kind of knew that.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting, and that kind of allows us to discuss this and say, yeah, he was really bad in that particular category. Someone I'm not surprised that I expected to be on this list was Ryan Suter, and he's not. He's not even on this list. I think they have the top.
As people think he is.
He really isn't. He just makes some stupid decisions. But like, there's not very many. There's one Dallas Stars player on that list, and that's it.
You also got to kind of take this list with a grain of salt as well, though, because the leader for the worst player for retrievals and exits is Rasmus Ristolainen, who is a good defenseman.
No,
Drew Doughty is on this list.
No, he's not. He's a
Drew Doughty is on this list. Is Drew Doughty a bad defenseman?
Okay, but where is Drew Doughty?
Jack Johnson. Is Jack Johnson a bad defenseman?
He's pretty bad. Yeah. He's a bottom pairing defenseman. But
Drew Doughty is not.
Jacob Trouba.
Trouba.
Ryan McDonough. There's some good defensemen that are on this list. So you got to take that with a hefty grain of salt, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about a very, very specific stat, but also I'll even counter the bad placement that he's in. We pay him $1.5 million to play like almost 20 minutes a night.
That's true.
Comparing defensemen, and we don't even pay him. We pay him 1.5. That's awesome.
Like literally, his whole cap hit could be buried in the minors.
Yeah,
and it would have no effect on the cap. So. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting because that kind of validates all the things we talked about during the season of like Hakanpää is a good defenseman. He's physical, but he just can't get the dang puck out of his own zone. So I don't know.
And that's why he's got
I just thought that was
on his line.
Yep. The other thing that's interesting about this chart is who is number 2. And number 2 on this list is Mr. John Klingberg. Wow.
Shocked.
I'm shocked. I know. And what's that screaming, that really famous painting, the screaming portrait or whatever? Is it literally called Scream?
It's called.
I had no idea.
Ryan, that was tough. You're in the arts,
dude. I'm not in the arts in that way. Okay, I'm in music. I don't care about all that other stuff. Whatever.
That should be close enough.
Close enough. Okay.
Yeah. Klinger did not get better when he left the Stars. That's for sure.
No, if anything, he got worse.
No, he didn't.
He got worse.
My statement was, I heard hyperbole,
Oh,
irony.
Man.
I don't know. I'm not an English major.
I is band director. All right, let's get into it. Top 5 Dallas Stars of all time. How do we want to do this, gentlemen? We just want to go 5-5-5, 4-4-4, or do we just one person do all 5?
We go who cares segment style.
Who cares segment style? Okay, one at a time. Number 5.
All right,
we're
going to go oldest too. So you're going to go first, Ryan. You got the oldest perspective here because you're old. Oh, right. You didn't even talk about it. You turned 30. He has a 3 in front of his age. How gross is that?
I'm ancient now. Like I get up in the morning now. I'm like, oh, my back.
You're not feeling like P. Diddy anymore?
No, absolutely.
That stinks,
not.
man. All right, number 5.
I never felt like P. Diddy, to be honest with you. Okay, my number 5 is Mike Ribeiro. And for those of you who don't remember who Mike Ribeiro is, he was a very interesting character. And what sucks about him is I didn't realize how bad of a person he is off the ice. He is a questionable character off the ice. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go look up some stuff and figure it out. But he was so much fun to watch as a player on the ice. He made up a fantastic duo between him and Brendan Morrow. And for the rest of my life, I will always remember they were in a shootout and he was the final skater. And he did this really stupid move in the shootout where he literally turned his back to the goalie, shot it, and it hit the goalie's shoulder and went plop right over him. And all I could think of when I was watching that particular shootout move from Ribeiro was, wow, he's really lucky that went in the net. Because if he didn't, his coach would have berated him. And I think I would have been pissed at him too. So that's number 5 is Mike Ribeiro.
All right.
Do y'all even know who that is?
I know Mike. What are you talking? Yeah, I know Mike Ribeiro.
Okay.
What are you talking about, man?
Just making sure. I don't know how far y'all's knowledge goes back.
I know the exact player you're talking about. It just gets the Avalanche goaltender. All right, moving on.
I think it's Peter Budaj, actually. Anyways, go ahead, Chris.
Number 5, Marty Turco. In the same era of Mike Ribeiro, at one point was the best goaltender in the National Hockey League and was known not for his goaltending, but for his stick handling outside of the net and for going to crazy places and making crazy plays that always somehow worked. So he was fantastic, always put on a show, and unlike Ribeiro, he is great with the Dallas Stars. He's still with the Stars. I think he's running their foundation right now, or as at least a big part of it. I wouldn't say he's running it, but doing a lot with the Dallas Stars Foundation.
I think you're right.
Love Marty Turco. He loves the Stars. He loves Dallas. He loves all of us. I love Marty. Marty's my guy. James.
All right, James. My number 5 is Anton Roussel because he was a pest and he wasn't very big. And I just remember that was like probably one of the first players that I actually liked just because I remember Dad would say, yeah, this dude just skates around and annoys people.
I miss Roussel. That was the last guy like that we had. Max Domi gave us a little bit of a taste last year, but man.
A little bit. It's not the same though.
It was not the same. Roussel did it every single game.
Roussel was our angry Frenchman. He was our angry Frenchman. It was so amazing. I miss him so much, and it really sucked to watch him, go off the way he did, and he signed a really bad contract in a lot of people's eyes with Vancouver, and then he played in I think he played in Arizona for a little while, and I don't even know where he is now. Does anybody know where he is?
I don't think he's playing.
At least not in the NHL. I don't think.
I think he's in Europe.
I wouldn't be surprised. So that really sucks though, because he was.
Nice. West Texas Internet. Chris, number 4. My number 4, we're going to another goaltender. And by the way, honorable mention, number 6 was our current goaltender, Jake Ottinger, for me, actually. Believe it or not. So crazy. 3 goaltenders in a row. But number 4 is Ed the Eagle Belfour, the goaltender for the Dallas Stars when they won the Stanley Cup. As soon as he was already a good goaltender before he came to Dallas. As soon as he came to Dallas, he became one of, if not the best goaltenders in the league. He was probably trading that back and forth with Hasek. But but yeah, he was just incredible. His competitive nature is really what I loved about him. He wasn't the biggest guy, and he still didn't shy away from anything. I mean, the plays that you remember from him, like Marty, not really his goaltending, but there was a play where a guy slides into him, going for a little goalie bowling. He was on that night. They had to try and shake him up. And instead of getting all shooken up, Belfour just jumps on him and takes a blocker and puts it into his jaw. I mean, that's the kind of mentality you want from your goaltender, especially in the trap era that he was playing in when the Stars won the Stanley Cup. That's the goaltender you want. Guy who's not afraid to bang around some bodies, and man, he took care of business and always made it fun too. So Eddie's better than anybody. Ryan, number 4.
Eddie's better. Man, I've got so many. I don't know what to. Okay, I'll go with another older one. I'm gonna go with Daryl Sydor. Do y'all even know who that is?
Yes.
Back in the 1999 Stanley Cup run,
he's the depth guy.
he was a very good defenseman. I think he was a top 4 guy because I think it was Matt Tkachuk and Chambers. Well, but again, it's a specific play that kind of idolizes him to me. And it was I don't even remember what run it was. I don't remember. I think it was the 98. I don't even think it was the Stanley Cup run. But there was a specific instance where they were out on the penalty kill and he blocked a shot and his leg was just completely incapacitated. Like he could not move it, couldn't put any weight on it or anything. The dang dude stayed out there and continued to try and block shots while skating on one leg. And it was ridiculous. Like he stayed out there in an additional like 20 or 30 seconds. And then like that right there, I was like, okay, that's ridiculous. And I already liked him before then because I kind of like the guys who are kind of under the radar a little bit, not necessarily like the best players or whatever, but he's my number 4. I really like him a lot.
James, number 4.
My number 4 is Alexander Radulov. I loved when that dude scored.
Sad.
Him skating around, yelling at the top of his lungs, even if it was like the most pointless goal ever, was amazing. He just loved to score.
Yeah. And brought energy with that too. I mean, we talked about it whenever Radulov was playing good for us, that whenever he scored, he brought energy to the whole team. Even if we were down by 4 goals, like you said, it was a throwaway nothing goal. That can spark us and get us back. So yeah, I loved Rad's energy too.
I will miss that. I will miss that goal. I will miss him because of that energy that he showed at the Winter Classic, man. When he scored that goal, that was I've never seen so much jubilation on someone's face like that. And now you look back on it and you realize, like, I don't think I've ever seen a bigger celebration out of him than that particular goal. Because I mean, how often do you get to play in an atmosphere like that? 80,000 people, and you get to score a goal like that.
That has an argument of being the best regular season Stars goal ever.
Yep, agreed. I think it's definitely up there. So,
all right, Ryan, number 3.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my internet sucks tonight. I don't know what's going on. It always sucks though. So, all right, my number 3 is I changed it. I told the boys that I was going to do all non-current players. I changed my mind. My number 3 is Miro Heiskanen, and I think he is a franchise-changing player. I do. I think he's the next captain of this team. Where this era of Dallas Stars hockey goes, I don't know, but it all rides on the back of Miro Heiskanen. I mean, let's be honest. If we take out, Robertson, I think we're okay. If we take out Hintz and we still have, I think we're okay. You take out Miro Heiskanen, that defense looks very different. Exactly. The wall fall. And just like Jericho, they come tumbling down. It's ridiculous. So I think he's going to win a Stanley Cup as a member of the Dallas Stars. He's going to do it.
Yeah. Putting him on this list whenever he hasn't done it yet, though, That gives me some
favorite stars.
I know.
I had to think about it, and I changed my mind at the last second. So
I don't know. All right, my number 3. Speaking of legacy, this guy's is cemented. Brett Hull scores the game-winning goal for the Dallas Stars in triple overtime. Their only Stanley Cup so far. Yeah, and off the ice, he's all over. He's all over the NHL still, especially with the Blues' latest cup run. That was hilarious. Love that. He's gonna be forever remembered as a St. Louis Blue, but in my mind, he's gonna be a Dallas Star every single time, just because of that goal that he scored, how momentous it was, and what it meant for hockey in Dallas. I mean, that really put the seal and said, all right, Texas hockey is a thing, and it's going to stay a thing, and it's going to take a long time. Even if we don't win a cup with this team that we have now, which I fully believe we will, that Brett Hull goal and that Stanley Cup is going to keep this team here for another 50 years probably.
That's a very good point. Yeah. And, I mean, if he doesn't score that goal, are the Stars still here in Texas?
Yeah, that's
fair to say. That really is fair to say.
Especially if you go through the bankruptcy that they went through in the 2000s, you have no idea. There might not be a hockey team in Dallas if Brett Hull doesn't score that goal. No idea.
Yeah,
James, number 3.
My number 3 is Marty Turco.
Yeah.
I just remember it was like Roussel and Turco were the two that I always liked in that era. It's just Turco always going out, play every puck that he possibly can. And then also you have him in the playoffs get 3 shutouts in a single series and still lose the series. It's like the fact we couldn't win anything with him in net is a crime.
Well, truly, it's a testament to how bad that team really was and how fake it was every time we were in the playoffs.
Yeah, I still cannot believe to this day that in 2008 we didn't go further. We made it to the Western Conference Final, and then that was it. So, man, we did such a travesty to Marty Turco. He should have won a Stanley Cup. He just came at the wrong era. Really did. That's really what it was. It was through the bankruptcy area, which really sucks. So, where are we at? Number 2?
Yep.
All right. My number 2 is going to be. I got 2 players. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Okay. My number 2 is Brendan Morrow. He was the guy. He was the guy during my childhood. I mean, so I will forever remember two particular things. And one was the hit that he laid on, I think it was Milan Mihalik of the San Jose Sharks right before they go into overtime. And it completely set the tone for the rest of that series. And I mean, I still play it in my head right now, and I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that he laid a hit that large. And it wasn't dirty. It's not like it was a dirty hit. It was a clean hit. The guy was just not paying attention to where he was going. He was thinking, oh, it's the end of the period. It's whatever. Nothing's going to happen. And he got laid out. And to that day, that is probably the biggest hit I think I've ever seen any Stars player lay. And then the second one is obviously, I believe it was the second round in 2008, which led the Stars to go to the Western Conference Final. And it was a power play goal. It was triple or quadruple overtime, one of the longest games in NHL history. And just like how we talked about that goal with Radulov and the jubilation that he showed when he scored it at the Winter Classic, I saw that exact same jubilation on Morrow's face when he scored that goal. And just watching that, it's just so cool, man. It's absolutely cool. And just what he did for hockey as well. I know he came around and took the C from Modano and everything, and there were some people that were upset about that. But, dude, he was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And he was the perfect leader in a time when the Stars were not very good for the most part. They were just a okay team.
Yeah.
So he's my number 2.
In my opinion, he's what cemented the legacy of the Dallas Stars always having a great captain on their team. I mean, it started with Derian Hatcher. That's one guy. I mean, he was fantastic. Best captain in the league, probably. And he wasn't like the best player, but his leadership really stood out. And that was the same thing that you had with Brendan Morrow. I mean, he wasn't going to be the best guy on the team. He wasn't going to be scoring every single goal. But when you need a leader, when you need somebody to set a tone going into a playoff overtime that you have to win, I mean, Brendan Morrow was the guy to do that. And that's what I remember most about him and respecting most about him. So speaking of that, of great captains in Dallas Stars, we back it up with my number 2, Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn is maybe
hard to say. I know where you're going.
Maybe the best Dallas Star that was drafted by the Dallas Stars, not the North Stars, and has progressed through the system and become a leader, a great player. Only guy that to win the Art Ross, I believe, on the Dallas Stars. I'm pretty sure that's correct. In a weird year, but hey, he still did it. He's been the captain for forever, and he wanted to be the captain. Everyone knew he was going to be the captain, and he has been for an extended period of time. He's led this team through really weird situations and has almost won a cup twice in weird situations. So I think he has what it takes to take us there. And with the Renaissance that he's shown recently, I think as soon as he gets his name on that cup, the debate of is Jamie Benn one of the greats, is his name in the rafters, is gone. So let's just get the cup and not have the debate, and let's put his name up there. Easy peasy.
Is he the greatest captain of all time?
For the Stars?
I think he is.
If he wins a cup, yes.
I think even if he
That's
doesn't
what I'm
win a
saying.
cup, I think he is.
These are all debates. These are debates we can have right now.
Yeah.
If he wins a cup, there's no debates.
Yeah, that's very true. I agree. 100% agree with you on
win
that.
a cup, and let's not have that debate. James, number 2.
My number 2 is Jake Ottinger. So now we're kind of to my era. We're in the current era now. This is partly why I like this team as much as I do now. I mean, the bubble run was great and all, but I mean, you have the hope in not the following year, but the year after, with Otter just trying to steal an entire series off the Flames. That was absolutely amazing. And him not even being on the roster to start that year. And by the end of it, he's really the guy.
He's the starter.
He's the starter, and even this year, you think like, he's still kind of young. Maybe he'll falter some. No, his numbers are still better than they were the previous year, just like they were the year before. And he's insane. He's just he's a rock.
I mentioned him as my honorable mention number 6, and I think the reason for that is that he's very similar to Belfour right now in his mentality that he has. He just doesn't have the trophies yet to show for it, but the competitive nature that he has, him liking being the villain that we talked about throughout the season, his success on the road more than at home. I mean, that just shows you the mindset that he has, that he wants to be the guy. He wants all the pressure on him, and that's when he steps up the most. And that's just what I think is so cool about him. Love the mindset of that guy.
I think it's going to be really hard for him to win the Vezina Trophy, and it's not his fault at all. I think it's just the sheer fact that there's 32 teams in the league now.
I don't think it's going to be hard. With
really?
The way he's playing right now, he hasn't had a lights out season yet. And he's easily holding himself in the top 10 of the league. He has one good season. He wins.
I can agree with that.
I would place a wager that he wins 2 Vezina trophies in his career.
Shoot, if he wins 2 Vezina trophies, we better win a cup if he does.
For real.
All right. Well, before we get into our number ones, do we have any honorable mentions? Because I think I have
I already gave mine.
You already gave yours, James. Do you have any more honorable mentions that you can think of?
I just like the whole current team that we have now. Mostly
I like
the young
Derian
guys.
Hatcher.
I like all the young guys a lot.
So, one of the there's a couple of guys I wanted to mention. We already talked about Marty Turco, but Chris, you already mentioned him, but he's on my list. And James, to your point about the current roster, what I love about this roster, and it all goes back to Jim Nill, the character of the guys on this team is just flawless, absolutely flawless. They're great hockey players, yes, but what's even more fun is that they just have impeccable character. Just about every single one of these guys is just, they're very well thought of, right? Ottinger, well, Jamie Benn has a bad mojo, but around his teammates, yes, around his teammates, he's very well loved. Yes. You got Tyler Seguin, who came in and he's adored himself to the fans. I mean, Wyatt Johnson has come in and just fit in like a glove. Logan Stankoven, who they drafted, he's winning all of these character awards and doing some amazing things in his community up in Kamloops. So I agree with you 100% there, James. One more player I'll mention because we didn't mention him. I think he deserves to be mentioned. He just not one of my top 5 is Jere Lehtinen. And I actually had to go and look it up. I was wrong. He didn't win it once or twice. He won it 3 times. 3 times he won the Selke Trophy. So it's crazy to think that in this day and age that Patrice Bergeron won 6. That just shows how great of a player Bergeron is. But Jere Lehtinen was that perfect player, all-around player. He can put up some points. He can play with your top players, and he's very responsible defensively for the defensive miscues of maybe your top offensive players. You always have to have somebody like that. And you know what? The Stars have that right now with Roope Hintz, which makes me even more excited about what this team could do moving forward. So, okay. Sorry. I have my number 1. Are you all ready?
Yep.
Okay. My number 1 is not going to be surprising at all. No, it's not a top offensive player. It is the one and only, the original Otter, Steve Ott. I loved him as a player. Yes, I know it seems crazy, but when everything was going bad in those seasons, when the Stars were not doing well, when they were bankrupt, when they weren't going to the Caps, shut up, Chris. You're judging me hardcore. I can see your face. He was always so much fun to watch. He really was. He was always picking fights with guys who were way bigger than him and somehow winning some of the fights. And he just had no quit. He was the Roussel before Roussel. All right. He was the second generation of the Shane Churla, for those of you that are really old, who going back to the 90s there. But he's my number 1. He was absolutely my favorite player growing up. Hands down, no question, Steve Ott.
My guy put Mike Romero over Mike Modano. Are you kidding me? So the number 1 player is Mike Modano. He's the greatest Dallas Stars player ever to exist. He is going to remain the best Dallas Stars player ever. Even when his greatest American scorer record is gone, he will be the best Dallas Stars to ever live. Even into the future, I will wager that. He will be the best. He's the guy, even before the Cup, that's what got people in the seats, was Mike Modano. He did it. He's the one who built hockey in Texas from the ground up. Brett Hull put the stamp on it, but Mike Modano wrote the letter.
Built it.
Put it in the envelope. And all folded it up. So, I mean, I watched Mike Modano when I was little. I had this. I had the Mike Modano jersey that I would refuse to take off.
Mike Modano stick.
And the stick. You had that stick. You would never let go of that thing.
I was. We're gonna get a little bit emotional here on the pod, everybody. Okay, so y'all get ready. Break it down. Bring on the mood lights. But I was a very sick kid. Okay, there was times when I would not be. I had asthma, very severely. I went to the hospital several times. They pushed the blue alarm, I think at least twice. It might have been 3 times. I don't remember. But I was very sick. There were times when I couldn't go outside, when I would have to wake up in the middle of the night to do breathing treatments. And the only thing that my parents could put on to make me keep on doing them was reruns of Stars hockey games that they had just catalogs of. And every time I'd wake up, I'd always have to put on my Mike Modano shirt, my jersey that I wouldn't take off. And the only time that my mom would be allowed to wash it without me screaming and crying and giving myself an asthma attack was when I was asleep. So they would wash it when I was asleep and put it back on me before I woke up and found out that I had taken it off. So, and that was the only player I knew was Mike Modano. And he was superhuman to me. I mean, he still kind of is, but Mike Modano is probably the reason why I love hockey as much as I do. Seeing him become the greatest American scorer when I was little was just mind blowing to me. I couldn't imagine how anyone could score that many points or that many goals, especially for a team in Dallas. And I still have the Mike Modano jersey that I wore when I was a little kid. It's in my closet right now. It's going to go in a frame one day, and it's going to go in whatever sports room I create when I actually get a house. So that guy is going to forever be my favorite athlete to ever exist on the face of the planet.
Well, dang. Try beating that, James.
Sorry, James.
My number one is it's Miro Heiskanen. Miro Heiskanen is just such to me, he's such a baffling player. There's no one else in the league as good at poke checking and stick checking than Miro Heiskanen. I don't think there's even a debate in that, in my opinion. The puck is on the offensive player's stick at 1 second, and then Miro gets close to him and it's off of it. Every single time, over and over and over again without fail. And it's one of those things. Like I remember with like Kari Lehtinen and just seeing a 2-on-1, and I'm like, oh, it's in the back of the net. And maybe that's why I didn't enjoy hockey so much around then. But I mean, now you see 2-on-1, I'm like, who's back? And it's Heiskanen back. I'm like, oh, we're fine. So that Miro Heiskanen really is also kind of the player that I grew into with liking the Stars. Klinger was technically first with his like behind the blue line shot, but after that it was Miro Heiskanen all the way. So
yeah, Chris, you got to go get that jersey real quick.
Oh, I can. Yeah,
I want to see it.
Go get that jersey. If we were picking a winner in this, I think Chris won, just because of the story at the end, right?
He told such a good story. Yeah.
Yes, it absolutely made 100% sense. Yeah. So we'll give Chris the W.
And I do remember him. I do remember him waking up with those breathing treatments and watching those games because we shared a room. So yeah. I remember all the breathing treatments and everything.
Here's the jersey.
There's the jersey, everybody.
All-Stars logo. Not even a real patch on it. It does have the shoulder things, though. And then there it is on the back. My guy, Mike Modano. Greatest American scorer ever. Greatest Dallas Star ever. Greatest athlete ever. Mike Modano.
Now, I did say, in my own defense, I never said the greatest Dallas Stars of all times. I agree with you 100%, Chris, that he's the greatest Dallas Star of all time. But he's not my favorite.
I don't care.
Steve Ott.
Mike Ribeiro above Mike Modano. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I remember a lot more of the Mike Ribeiro, Brendan Morrow era than I do the Modano, Hall, Lehtinen era, Zubov. So I only remember the Stanley Cup win because I got to stay up really super late that evening as a 6-year-old. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So, okay. Oh, and Chris, did you hear us talking about you?
Yes, I did. I'm the dub master.
Yes, you're
These
the dub
things have
master.
nice range.
Yeah. Well, let's get into our Who Cares segment tonight. It was actually my idea. I thought about this like maybe probably a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago when I thought of this idea, and I thought it would be real to do our top 3 fish. Our top 3 fish. We're gonna start with the
finally got
youngest
to
on
it.
this one.
Took a while.
Yes.
We're not.
Yes, we
No,
are,
we're
James.
not.
Kids.
We're
I gotta pull up my list.
Yeah, his list is deep in a file somewhere. He's got to dig it out.
I left it in a file. I gotta go find it.
So
Give me a second.
I think I'll go first here.
Somewhere on that Google Drive from like 1990, whatever.
Yeah.
Even before you were born.
Okay, so we got a question in the chat. It says to eat or to catch. I don't fish. Fishing's boring.
Fishing is not boring.
Bad opinion to have in the South, but man, is fishing
It is
boring.
not boring.
So I'm going with to eat. I don't know what those guys are doing. My number 3, we're gonna go with kind of just a basic one. We're going tilapia. This is kind of the garbage can fish, but all you gotta do is put it on a baking sheet, cover it in Cajun seasoning, boom, fish.
That's funny that is your number 3, because my number 3 is also tilapia. Because Amanda does the exact same thing that Mom does, and she makes these amazing fish tacos with tilapia, and it's just fantastic.
You want to know the recipe for those amazing fish tacos?
Literally what you said.
Literally what I said.
It's Cajun seasoning
That's it.
and the fish. That's it.
Yep. Tony Chachere's the best.
Yes.
James, were you able to pull up your list from your
I found
your
it.
Z drive?
I found it.
That's good.
So my number 3 is it's the blue dragon. I don't know if it counts as a fish, but I'm gonna count it as a fish because it looks freaking cool. It's very poisonous, and if you touch it, you can get very, very sick. But it looks awesome, and they're like itty bitty. So
can you share? Do you have a picture of it on your screen right now? Share it. I need to see it.
I'm glad we're
know.
showing a picture of a fish on our podcast.
Who
Very-
cares?
Very visual, very, very good for those audio listeners.
Okay. Yeah, we
I
gotta
had
see
to
this
look
picture.
look up dragonfish to find it. It's a blue dragon. It looks really cool though.
That's got to be fake.
Oh,
All right.
that's
My
amazing.
It
number
looks
2.
cool.
It does look cool.
My number 2, we got the garbage canned fish. No, wait. No. Sorry, I forgot. I almost put the wrong one in there. That was my number 4. My number 4 was going to be catfish, the garbage fish of the river or the muddy pond. But the real number 2 that we're going to put is salmon. Salmon. Salmon's good. Salmon tastes
I was
yummy.
about to say, did you really just say salmon?
I like salmon. Salmon is good as sushi. Very nice, flaky. Even in the sushi, it's kind of flaky. Baked salmon, very good. Love it. Pan-seared, all kinds of stuff. Salmon, very good fish. I feel fancy when I eat it. You get that nice little cut of salmon. Fancy fish, a little lemon, a little herb, a little garlic. Salmon.
My number 2, it's boring. I don't really have anything to back it up or as to why I like it or why it's my number 2. But my number 2 is trout. I just like trout. It tastes good. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else to add to it.
James, number 2.
Okay. My number 2 are it's a moonfish. Okay, there's a very specific reason why
First
it is
dragons,
moonfish.
now moons.
I don't think there's any
Okay.
fish on the moon, James. I'm going to say it.
The moonfish are the fish that group into the school of fish and then like mock Marlin in Finding Nemo.
Oh, so specifically the ones from Finding Nemo.
Yes.
Okay.
They make
right.
the little happy face and the frowny face fish. It's hilarious. I love it.
Right. Fair.
Swim through the trench, not over it.
Exactly. Okay. Is it my turn? Am I going
Yep.
number 1?
Number 1.
I'm about to beat y'all on this one again. We're going with the most versatile of fishes. We're going with the tuna. Tuna is amazing. You can make it cheap,
Dude, y'all-
put it in a can.
Are y'all hungry or something? Did y'all not eat dinner?
I'm starving.
We went totally different ways with this than you did, James.
Put it in a can, mix
My
it up with
fish
some
look
mayonnaise. Mix it up with some mayonnaise. Throw it on a little Sammy. Delicious. Put it on a salad. Boom. Tuna, actual tuna salad. Y'all know it's 2 different kinds of tuna salad. Y'all get it.
Yes.
And then you can go fancy. You get the nice tuna. You get the center cut belly of the tuna. Throw that on some rice. Boom. Sushi. A little bit of soy. Dippy dip. Tuna. And even further, you can get fancy cheap with the tuna, with the spicy tuna. Spicy tuna roll. Best sushi in the game. Top tier. Unbeaten. Still, to this day, top tier. And if y'all want to be really grossed out by it, the spicy tuna, you don't want to know how they get that tuna? It's not like a big piece. It's like kind of like stringed up, You know where they get it from?
Where?
They scrape it off the spine of the salmon when they're done getting the fillets off of it. So even the little scrapelings of the tuna are just as delicious. Amazing. RJ, you got to try it. You got to try the spicy tuna. That's the first one to try.
All right. Before I get to my number one, honorable mention to swordfish. Had swordfish at Disney World when I was really young. It was really good. But the number one is an obvious one for me, and it's the blue tang. And if you know what the blue tang is, do either one of y'all know what the blue tang is?
Is that like that Kool-Aid drink that you get at camp? Tang?
No. It's Dory, you guys. It's Dory. That's why it's my number one. Okay.
You're about to get shown up so bad, Ryan. I'm not even going to lie.
Are you fixing to do clownfish?
No,
really? Okay. Well, all right. Then I don't feel too bad. All right. But I don't know. I love that movie so much. That movie came out when I was 10 years old. It was obviously a big part of all of our childhoods, even after the movie came out later. I mean, who hasn't seen the movie Finding Nemo? And, Marlin's the main character and everything like that. But, there's always those movies that are fantastic. There's that one character that, makes the movie, right?
They made
Dory is that.
They made
Dory
a movie for the character in the movie.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, this is why Ryan's wrong, because my fish is much cooler than Ryan's. My fish is called called a blue betta.
Sharing his screen.
This fish is absolutely beautiful. Okay, it's just a better Dory in every single way, shape, form, and fashion. It's absolutely beautiful. I love this fish so much.
I still think I win.
PetSmart. No, not these ones. You could get dumb little blue bettas from PetSmart. Not ones.
Well, I don't know how to close this one out, guys.
Do y'all still remember the days when you could get fish from Walmart? You remember those days?
Yeah,
you can still get fish from Walmart. Like a month. That's where I get my tilapia.
Okay, no, not like that. That's not what I meant, Christian. Sorry, I lost it. I know you were trying to keep a straight face, but I lost it. But I don't know. That's a good choice, James. But I still think I won. Chris, who won? Me or James?
Y'all were just hungry, okay? Y'all were hungry, and I chose good-looking fish.
Give me some tuna fish.
My fish was
beautiful. I did both. Okay, I chose two fish that I wanted to eat, and then a fish that's really, really sentimental.
Commit one way or the other, Ryan.
You just confused me. Now I'm thinking you're supposed to eat the blue tang, and then you're talking about how pretty the blue tang is.
Oh
I'm just
my
confused.
gosh. Okay, shut up. Okay, we're gonna shut this up before anybody else just goes off the wire and Chris says something else stupid. Anyways, guys, we appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening and all of our shenanigans that we have and talking about stars and fish. Yet we didn't talk about starfish. And
missed opportunity.
I know. We missed it, man. He just walked.
Chris is gone.
He's gone, done. Everybody. He's off camera.
Mad.
Anyways, please go and check out SircatCircuitMarks.com. Thank you for all. I can't deal with him right now.
Go on, Ryan. Keep going. You can do it.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. If you liked anything you heard on this episode, please consider leaving a 5-star review anywhere you listen to your podcast or on YouTube, leave a comment and let us know. Please click like and subscribe. All of that jazz. Along with Chris, along with James. Thank you to our sponsors. My name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side. And we hope you guys have a good, fantastic afternoon, evening, morning, really, really early morning, whenever you guys are listening. We will see you guys again next week with more of our shenanigans. See you later.